Hey guys, and welcome to another Night with Phee. Here we are having a great time today. Had a real crazy day. It was actually hailing a little bit and had the sun out at the same time. I tell you this weather, I'm a weather watcher now. Phee never was a weather watcher, but he's a weather watcher now. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight on the Phee Smee Network for Night with Phee. We will be here live tomorrow night at 6:30 with Phee's Sports Ball with Sir Isaac, the Guru. And then we'll follow up with another Night with Phee at 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Glad you guys are with me tonight. Make sure you tell some folks, hit that share button, subscribe, give me a little heart if you can, a thumbs up, whatever you can do to help Phee out. I tell you, it's a rough house world out here. It's a rough house world, and it's fixing to get a little rougher. So wanted to talk to you guys tonight about a dose of reality, because we're fixing to get a dose of reality. Used to be a very common phrase when I was younger. We're going to give those boys a dose of reality. See, everybody has dreams, and they've all got plans. They tend to make those dreams and there's plans based on where they are at that point. And normally, a lot of their plans change and their interests change as their lives go on. But every once in a while, you'll get a dose of reality. Sometimes in sports, it happens in certainly in games, but in injuries also. Sometimes in actors and actresses, to where they've had a good run of movies, and all of a sudden they get in a part and they're not very good, and they get a dose of reality. And a lot of times in business, people they start making lots of money, they start investing in lots of things, and all of a sudden, they were going 7 out of 10. Now all of a sudden they went 3 out of 10, and they get a dose of reality. Well, our country, the United States of America, and our citizens have been living a very, very good life for a long period of time. I know we've gone through some COVID and the 9/11 Desert Storm, but for the most part, you hadn't had any war in our country. We've had some civil unrest and some problems, but anytime you put the law of large numbers together in a population, you're going to have some conflict. So a dose of reality to the rest of the world would mean that if you live worse than 90% of Americans, you'd still be better than 90% of the world. That's how most of the people live outside this world. And although you see a lot of news that makes you think that you're seeing everything globally, you're seeing what they want you to see. There's a whole big world out there, a whole lot of things going on that some people just never know about. And the busier they keep us, and the more entertained, the more we have to work to pay our bills, because of the credit markets, they tend to just put out there what they want us to see as part of their plan. So in order to give people a dose of reality tonight, I wanted to let you know that there will be a time very shortly that you will wake up and your life will have changed. And then you're going to remember the good old days where you just go down to the store. And, a lot of times the good old days were me riding a bicycle to school every day. You don't see that, or me. I was able. My father gave me a lot of freedom to go anywhere I wanted to go. He just told me when to be back, and if I was back, it was a good trip. So I took advantage of that my whole life. I certainly respected his rules. I wasn't late a lot because I know if I was late, those freedoms tended to be inverted on Phee. And along with anything and everything else that my father could find to invert with Phee. So I obeyed, but I still had so much freedom. Can you imagine a little boy just with 50,000 people and all those folks in the parking lots and tailgating, just going into the stadium and into the locker rooms and down on the field. Just anywhere I wanted to go, I could do. But my father gave me that freedom. Well, a lot of kids these days don't have that type of freedom because it's not safe. And in today's age, with them stealing 2,000 young people a day and killing 247 to 255 young people a day with fentanyl. You need a dose of reality when it comes to the time period that you're living in right now. It is very dangerous. It is changing rapidly right before your eyes. And you can't sit and watch the news all day. I don't sit and watch the news all day, but I find myself constantly getting notifications and reading about world news. Because if you just get the news from America, you don't really get what's going on in the world, except what they want you to know and when they want you to know it. So it's important that we wake up, that we get a dose of reality tonight, that this world is going to change, and we need to be prepared for it. We need to acknowledge the time period that we're in, and take the precautions we need to take to love, protect our loved ones, and to learn to love one another, because we're having a real difficult time with love growing cold, and because of lawlessness. So we'll get into these questions. If you'd like to send me a question, send feesmee.com. That's PHEESMEE.com. You'll see the questionnaire there on the website. If you'll send that question in, I'll be glad to answer it on the air. I do appreciate you guys sending these questions in. First question tonight. Phee, I've been married 12 years. My wife and I have 3 children, ages 4 to 10. My wife is a compulsive liar that continues to cheat on me with whoever she chooses. I'm so tired of it, but I don't want to leave my children. What to do? Sleepless in Mississippi. That is a tough situation because of the children, sir. If you've been married that long, and she fooled you when you got married, then because of the kids, now you're struggling to determine whether or not that what to do in that situation. Obviously, you have to forgive her if she's honest with you and tells you that she's cheating or that she was lying. But if she's done it repeatedly and she's a compulsive liar, then you're just in for a real tough time, because trust is the key to any relationship. If you don't have trust, then what you have is a ticking time bomb. Those things, they always seem to start good, but in the end, it comes back to bite you, because you've got to, over a period of time, you've got to connect all of those lies, and then make sure that you can remember them. But after you get to that point, I would tell you, for the people out there that aren't married, and you can see those type of signs over a period of time, you'll be able to, in normal conversations, be able to just visiting, you'll be able to see. But if you just do it 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 times a month, you're not going to really get into that area. So once you're married, then it's not, I can just cut her loose and be done, or I can just cut him loose and be done, because there's other people involved. And that's why it's important you pray before you ask the Lord to guide and direct you with a mate. Because 3 children ages 4 to 10, and she's constantly lying. It's awful tough to overcome on that forgiveness standpoint. I have a very unforgiving heart, or did, so I would have had some resentment. I have the ability to where if I know people are lying to me, I don't have to tell them. That's not a problem for me. You'll find that most high-value men and women, they'll be more calculative in what their responses are. But if you're knee-deep in it 12 years and she's a compulsive liar, she's cheated on you constantly, you know what Proverbs 21, 9 through 12 says. So Proverbs 21, 19. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. there is treasure to be desired, and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up. You're looking at a situation in Proverbs where it says you basically don't want to be involved. It'd be better for you to be alone in the wilderness, or on in one Proverbs it says on the corner of a roof. So it's important that when you find someone that you can trust and you can love in good times and bad times, that you want to stick with them. But if you've had 12 years and 3 kids, and you're either just now finding this out, or you're probably in reality you found it out many, many times, and she's forgiven you, and at some point you just gave up listening, didn't care, or she just didn't. You knew you wasn't going to do anything about it. So I don't know how that 12 years of that continues, but those 3 kids, ages 4 through 10, got a tough time. They got a mother that's a compulsive liar, and basically a hoe, and then you got a daddy that's so beat down that he wants to leave. So that's I feel bad for the kids, sleepless in Mississippi. I think I'd man up a little bit. I think I'd set some boundaries. I think I'd document things. I think I'd get a case together for my children, and is what I would do, and then get when it's advantageous to you, then I would present that case. But you can only forgive so many. I mean, my Lord says 7 times 7 times 7. You can just keep forgiving, but I don't. That doesn't mean to me that you sign up for the same thing over and over again. You've got grounds for divorce with an adulterous woman, and I would take that. If you can't trust her and you know she's sleeping with everybody around, that's hard for a man to go to work and enjoy life and love his family and his kids, and that's a miserable existence for you. So I would document, and I would try my best to make sure that if she doesn't straighten up, and you can forgive her for an amount of time, and then you've got to take care of those kids and move on, is what I would tell you to do in that situation. And I do appreciate the call, or the call. I've been saying that for 3 months now. That's because in my mind I thought we were going to have a call, a number the first day. We've had one for the first day, and we hadn't been able to get it hooked up to where we know how to dump the words and get it to where the voice matches the mouth with the sound engineer and all this kind of stuff. So we just doing fine with the emails, and I don't mind reading them. But at one point we'd like to actually have folks calling in instead of asking me questions by email. Right now the emails works at feesmee.com. Send in the questions. Next question, Phee. Why are biblical scholars predicting the rapture this September the 23rd? Stephen in Tennessee. Stephen, that's Daniel's 70 weeks of prophecy is what that is, and they go through time periods where the Hebrew word for weeks and years can be mean the same. So that vision is 7 times 70 is 49 years, and then 7 times 70 is 490, and then they go to a Hebrew calendar, which is a 360 days instead of 365. Then they start the period from 444 BC until it was 483 years to the exact day that my Lord was crucified. And so you've got the Feast of Trumpets being on the 23rd of September. You have the Day of Atonement. They connect all of those calendars together, and they overlap them. They've spent years and years and years doing it. I knew nothing about it other than just read Daniel before I had this vision. But their numbers, they'll tie it to a couple of different books and their numbers, and then they'll make sure they'll tell you that this is God's calendar. This is not a setting of dates. Then they'll try to tell you that since the rebirth of Israel in 1948, then there's so many days that are going to wait through that 69th week. So that would allow one more week or 7 more years. So everybody's trying to figure out when are these 7 year, when is this 7 years going to start? Because they think it's a 7-year tribulation. And the pre-tribulation people don't think they're going to be here. So by the 23rd of this month, then they'll have to start making other choices about, why are we still here, if that's the start of that 7-year tribulation. It's the accuracy of Daniel's prophecy and vision have been phenomenal. The precision of that timing is really, really salty. So they say, well, that means the rapture's coming on the 23rd of this year, because that would be the last day. On the Jewish calendar, it will never happen again. There's been 6 times that the Feast of Trumpets and then the Day of Atonement intertwined 6 times. This will be the 7th one, and it'll never happen again on that calendar. So they believe that marks the start of that 7-year period, or that 70th week. And halfway through that last week or 7 years, that's when the Antichrist will stand in a rebuilt temple and stop those daily sacrifices, proclaim himself as God. And you'll read that in Daniel. You can read that in Revelations. But for this question, why do they think the 23rd of this month? It's because it's the Feast of Trumpets. It's because it lines up with Daniel to basically be the last festival of feast or Feast of Trumpets and Day of Atonement that will ever happen. This will be the 7th one. So again, 7. 7's a big number with this with Daniel's vision. So they've got this being at right now. They add 483 plus 47 plus 23, but they're going to come up to it or with it pretty quick. I'll read you their numbers. 483 years times 300 days is 173,880 days. 173,880 days plus 365 days is 476 years plus 25 days. So in those 173,880 days, that's the exact length of time of the prophecy. So that's why they had it down with Jesus. Now then it says in Daniel 9:24 through 27, then after the 62 sevens, the Messiah will be cut off and have nothing, and the people of the prince who is to come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. So if you'll remember, when Jesus died on the cross, he was cut off at that point, and that was 33 A.D. Then the Roman Empire crushed the Second Temple, destroyed the Second Temple in 70 A.D. And then John had his vision on the island around 90 A.D. So there's your early time periods of how Daniel's vision goes from 444 B.C. to when Messiah time is cut off at the crucifixion of Christ. And then from there, it became the church age until so many things happened in so many weeks for it to become that last week, which is the last 7 years. So they're 7 years short is what their math is telling them come September the 23rd. So is the rapture going to happen this year? The rapture is not going to happen right now before September the 20th of 2032. That's what Phee can tell you. Every day that goes by, just add 7 years to that date, and you know you're safe, because my Lord's not coming back until all these prophecies are fulfilled. and you're going to have a two-state solution where Israel exchanges land for peace. And in exchange for that, they're going to build that third temple. What's you're going to happen before that is World War III, or the Sixth Trumpet War, that kills a third of mankind. There's the biggest concern we have now. Not that this church is going to be raptured out. The church isn't going to be raptured out. The elect, the saints, Matthew 24, Jesus says immediately after. You can read in 26 different accounts in the Bible that will tell you it's not a pre-tribulation, it's a post-tribulation rapture. So I know that's for the last 175 years that's been popular, but before then it was never heard of. And so we don't need to concern ourselves with that. Remember, there's children of God and all the folks who believe in the pre-trib. But as these events keep happening, they'll just adjust their views, and they're still children of God. It's not a salvation issue. It's a deception issue. And that's why my Lord says in Matthew 24, even the saints will be deceived. And if it wasn't for the saints, he would. That's why it was cut short, or there wouldn't be any flesh that survived it. That's how bad it's going to be. So it's going to get rough, but the last 7 years will not start until that peace plan is in effect, because then halfway into that's when you have the Antichrist stepping into that temple and then proclaiming himself as God. And then the last 3.5 years is complete turmoil, persecution, death, jailing, anything of the saints, the elect, the Christians, the children of God. So that's what we've got to go through, and that's a dose of reality to you of what we've got to go through in the time period that you're living in right now. So no, there's no rapture happening on September the 23rd of 2025, and there's not going to be a rapture happening on September 23rd of 2026. But there might be a whole lot of different events that instead of you being carried away from, you're going to be right in the middle of. So you might want to think about preparing, instead of to being raptured, you might be start preparing to living for your Lord, making him the priority of your life, and making him the Lord and Savior of your life, he being your master, you being his servant. And you might want to prepare for what the time you have on this earth, because the dose of reality is it's fixing to get a little rough on you. And then we don't know how soon or how bad it's going to get in the area that you live in, because we're talking about all over the country and all over the world. So people need to prepare when they see this and have a dose of reality that this is going to happen. But that's what they're talking about when they start talking about the 23rd of September. You've got the United Nations meeting on the 22nd about this two-state solution, and they'll meet through the 26th. So it's a real critical time. Do I think something crazy can happen on September 23rd? Absolutely. I think something crazy can happen in the next 2 seconds for the next 2 years. But it's going to happen. But the rapture's not going to happen. So all the people that have got all the prophecies, have been in this business for years and years and done all these timelines and studies, they're fascinating. I'm pretty decent in math. They're fascinating to me how they can draw that detective myopia and connect the dots. I enjoy it. It's a hobby for a lot of people. But my Lord tells you you're going to know the season. He also tells you that he's not going to come like a thief in the night to you, because you're children of the light, because you're right here, right now, learning about these things rather than being out in the world and doing things that's not going to help you in the future. But anyway, that's where they get that. I just got a text from Mark, so that's what got me. Yeah, they say September 23rd because of Daniel's 70-week prophecy. Remember, you've got a rare 2,550 days between the Feast of Trumpets and the Day of Atonement. And then this is the seventh and final time that will ever happen. And when you add those, it comes to the exact date of September 23rd, 2025. So a lot of these biblical prophecy teachers and scholars say that the rapture will happen on that day. And when it doesn't happen on that day, then they will start saying, well, that's still we still only have 7 years, we'll see. But I can tell you that my Lord's the basic instruction before leaving Earth is going to be right 100% of the time. So we're gonna roll with that and let them figure out what else they want to do. But I do appreciate that question, Stephen in Tennessee. Next question. Phee, I'm dating this wonderful, godly woman, and I have a problem with lust. It seems the harder I try, the more I think about it. It keeps coming back. Josh in Kentucky. Well, Josh, that is not unusual whatsoever that it keeps coming back. It is a daily renewal for people that have problems with lust. There's lots of different types of lust, but if you're a man and you're lusting for women, or if you're a woman and you're lusting for a man or men, then that's a sin that's hard to control, because you never know what's inside people's minds, between their ears. You don't have any idea. They can look one way, act one way. They can be very flirtatious outwardly in public, trying to draw attention, but inwardly they're so insecure and shy that there's just no confidence there. And then you've got them that some of them are real shy and in public and hardly say a word, and then you get them one-on-one and they're all funny and giggly and laughing, and same with the men and the women. It's a connection that you enjoy, and when you lust out for something, you're lusting for things that don't belong to you, or doing things that you don't need to be doing based on what starts in your mind. And remember, lust is not just a physical thing. You're dealing with a real strategy when you're dealing with lust. Lust will number one, it'll steal your ambition. It'll take your focus from you if that's all you're thinking about. Number two, you'll basically just miss your calling. You'll fail at it. It won't become as important for you to focus on your calling, and so those are things that if you've got a plan in life, no matter whether you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an investment banker, if you're focused all the time on nothing but mind games in your head, or how you're going to get this and the chase and what you want, sometimes it's a killer. It kills your calling. It steals your focus. There's no question about that. It'll destroy you from the inside out if you let it. And you're trying to fight a spiritual battle with physical weapons. That's a demonic strategy that most people fall for without ever knowing it. Because they want to do something, they justify doing it. The better they get, the more they feel, the happier they get, the more they want, and so they tend to go ahead and get what they want, and to have that ability. A lot of women have that ability. A lot of wealthy men have that ability. If you're famous, if you're an athlete, if people know you and you're well exposed as far as to the masses, those opportunities come to you pretty easily, and you're going to have some self-control. And a lot of people don't care. They don't care who they hurt or what they're doing when it comes to that. Once you get into that lust situation, you're just fighting a spiritual battle. Remember what Jesus said, if you cast out one demon and you let him return, that he's going to bring 6 with him. So it doesn't get, when you trying to work it out, and the more you think about not doing it, the more you think about doing it, and you end up doing it. That's playing mind games with yourself, and you've got to. That's one thing you've got to do is control and be self-controlled in that situation. A lot of people have a lot of great relationships, but then they want something more. And a lot of people are always wanting something more. And if they want something more, they're not happy with what they have. That's a misconception a lot of times. There's a lot of people out there happy with what they have. They just want more. And a lot of it's games to them. Maybe they won't find out. And if they do, then how much fun will it be to get out of it? And so, I mean, that's you just don't know what's going on inside of folks' minds. But you're dealing with a spiritual battle there, and you're dealing with it. Prayer, fasting, asking for forgiveness, all of those things will work. But if you keep letting them back in, you keep unlocking. Just crack that door just a little bit. Just crack it. Let your thoughts just crack it a little bit. Before you know it, it won't take long to boy that taboo, that excitement, that it's just all over you, and you're right back in it again. It's a vicious cycle. It's like with me, it's like that with forgiveness. I have to daily renew my heart, asking for me to be forgiven while I can forgive others, because I don't want to wake up mad one day. I don't just ask for forgiveness and forget about it. I found myself doing that, and then 2 weeks later I'd be mad again about the same thing. And so I just try to renew it every day. And if you'll make this a priority to you can't get in the room with them and without taking an active part. And if you know that, then you don't get to go in the room. My daddy used to say, you better decide what you're going to do before you get in the back seat, because once you get in the back seat, if you haven't made those boundaries or set those guidelines, you're probably not going to follow them if you don't have any plans. So you got to control your urges. I know a lot of people have desires and urges that if they don't have anybody to be accountable to, then they just succumb to those urges and those desires. And a lot of folks will say, well, there's nothing wrong with that. And what you'll find is you'll just keep on being eat up. It'll eat you from the inside out till it'll consume you if you allow it. And then what'll happen is you'll either you'll hurt other people, or you'll be hurt with the actions that you end up taking, because that'll be betrayal. If you spend your time as a prisoner in your mind, lusting for things that aren't yours, then you've got a spiritual battle, and you're trying to fight it with the physical weapons. So it's not easy. It's dangerous because it looks like pleasure, but it's poison. Isn't that the way sin is? It just starts so good, and before you know it, you're like, how in the world did we get here? So that's what that is, and I do appreciate you. You're dating a wonderful, godly woman. I hope that you can get that problem under control with the lust. It seems like to me that you're being honest with yourself, and you're trying to be a better individual. But I wanted to read to you in Ephesians 6 and 6:12, I believe, is where I'm going for. But all right. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in higher places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit. Now, that gives you the armor that you need, and lets you know that you're not fighting against flesh and blood. That if you have opened yourself, that Satan is in the courts of heaven every single second of every single day, constantly warring against the saints about our sins. He is pleading his case. And when Michael the archangel actually defeats him and kicks him out of heaven, and he comes down to the earth, heaven rejoices. But woe is to the inhabitants of the earth, because he comes down with wrath. 3.5 years. 3.5 years. There is the great tribulation. That's when Satan consumes that Antichrist completely. Right there. 3.5 years. And so right now he's up there and he's pleading his cases every day about how bad we are, and how our sins and our lust and we don't have any self-control. We lie, we cheat, we murder, we do all these things, and he's constantly presenting those cases against us. So you have to put on the whole armor of God if you want to fight those demonic influences, because that's all they are, folks. You're either possessed by the Holy Spirit or you're possessed by the world, and this world is the world right now is the prince of this world, Satan. And things are lining up, and we're fixing to get a dose of reality with this. But there you go with Ephesians 6. It just goes to show you that you're not fighting against flesh and blood. These thoughts that you have, the actions that you do, they're just not random sometimes. Especially a lot of people, when they have real good times, it'll hit them right the next day or the day after. Almost always. And if you have real bad times, remember, there's just as much sin in celebration as there is in defeat and depression. So whichever they got you, whichever way. That's like they support the Republicans and the Democrats, and they don't care who wins. But that's the same thing in this area. You're going to have to find a way to understand you're not fighting against flesh and blood. You're fighting against demonic spirits. And if the Holy Spirit lives within you, and you can pray with supplication and make Him a priority, then put on the armor of God, read the Word, limit your areas to where lust will be a problem with you, whether that's pornography or whatever else that you might be into. But I'm glad you have a godly woman. I hope that you'll read the Word of God. I'm thankful that you asked the question, that you're actually searching for those answers, but because it's a lack of self-control, it's an imagination gone wild. It's I'm really drunk right now, but I think I can feel better, or I'm really high right now, but I think I can get higher, or I just had the best time of my life. I think I'll find a better one. And we're just gonna keep going. Same thing with the casinos. You'll win a whole lot of money and think you're great, and you're just never gonna stop. Before you know it, you're looking for what happened. What happened? See, and that's the way the world will chew you up and spit you out so quick, and you need a dose of reality. But sin is sin, and if you deal with it, if you recognize it, identify it, deal with it, my Lord is faithful and just to forgive you and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. But if you continue to try to manipulate and lie and cheat and steal to cover up your lust and your lack of self-control, then the lady, the godly woman you're dating, she's in for a tough time if she actually says I do, because I've known both men and women that they just can't get enough of a good thing until they don't have any good things left, and that's what tends to happen in that situation. Always starts out real well though, but put on that armor of God, read that Word, and more importantly, you've got to have some faith. I mean, faith is the key. It's the substance. We have such a lack of faith in our society today that it amazes me, because if what you speak, whether it's negative or whether it's positive, it means something. And the faith you have, it doesn't mean when things go good for you that you are thankful. You ought to be. But when things aren't, you're going to have faith that they will be. You serve a Lord that can change your life and your circumstances. He's changed mine, or I wouldn't be here from 2022 to today. And so I plan on being here a lot longer than just today. But a dose of reality would be try to keep that lust under control. And the way to do that is put on that armor of God and understand who you're fighting. You don't fight spiritual battles against physical weapons. And the thing about lust is it just looks so good. It's just, it's all about the pleasure, and it'll end up being poison. It's just the way it is. It's kind of like the law of large numbers. It's just real. It's just like momentum and energy. It's just real. So I do appreciate you. I hope that you can recognize that, and I've given you some help as far as trying to combat that, Josh from Kentucky. Next question. Phee, how would you discipline children in today's world? Kendra, Texas. Well, you've got a whole legalistic situation with how to raise children now. The more you let the government tell you how to raise your children, the worse you're going to be with your children, whether it's education or whether it's medical or vaccinations. You're living in a time period now to where if you spank a child, then you can go to jail. And if you are certainly, and I'm not talking about people that are abused as children, they need to go to jail. I love children, but there's no discipline in our society. And I have 4 kids from 20 to 29, and 3 of them are married, and they think the way my father whipped me would be just terrible today. When I didn't think anything. I thought that's the way it always was back then. I did not whip my children. They didn't need to be whipped, but when they did, I whipped them. I had 2 that I whipped, but I had 2 I just barely whipped, once or twice in their life. But I got lucky because I was getting 2 a day, and they wasn't a couple of swats. It was real discipline. But I used to get licks at at school, to where they'd ask me when I was acting up in class, which was daily, that would you rather me call you daddy or would you take 3 licks? Well, I'm taking the 3 licks every day of the week. So, and you had a couple of teachers that liked try to light Phee up. So they took a little more pride in those swats. They even had holes in the paddles, and they had several different types of paddles. Teachers that kind of took pride and go out in the hallway and give 3 licks. They didn't call it spanking; they called it how many licks you get. So today's discipline, divorce, split families. When you talk about somebody else discipline your children, what type of discipline? Now they put you in timeout, or they take away something, or they ground you where you can't go anywhere. You got all kinds of different disciplines. But the way I would discipline them is I would tell them, I love you more than anything in this world. You're mine, and I want you to do the very best that you can do. And when you make mistakes, I'm not gonna whip you, and I'm gonna talk to you. You don't want to get to the point where I have to whip you. And a lot of parents, they don't understand how to discipline children or raise children, because all the children hear is no. Just do the complete opposite of what most parents do. They spend their whole lives saying no, no, not now, no, you can't, no. I mean, I just take everything's a yes with me, unless there's some kind of danger or problem, or it's pure stupidity. And then I don't, I always, it's like I always tell my kids, I want you to do what you want to be able to do, but I want what you want to be able to do within reason. I mean, we're not doing anything crazy. But if they wanted to spend the night at somebody's house after a baseball game, the answer wasn't no. If I knew the people and other kids were going to be there, then the answer is yes. And if they want a snow cone, I don't care if they've had, ate something 30 minutes ago. If I'd get them the snow cone. But a lot of these people, that parents, they have to say no because of finances, and then it gets to the point where they beat themselves up about it, and then their kids have a tough time of comparing parents that have, my friend has this, and my friend has that, and they try to keep up with the Joneses. Before you know it, you're 45 years old and you're still buying, a Suburban because your friend got a Suburban, or you got to buy a new house because your friend got a house, or a boat because your friend got a boat. And it still goes on today, whether it's the 8th grade or whether you're 50 years old, to a certain extent. But discipline children in today's age, I would tell my children that I would want you to explain to your children, my grandkids, I want you to explain what they did wrong. I want you to make sure you tell them how much you love them. Then I would want you to spank them according to their age. You certainly don't hit children hard when they're 5 years old with your hand. But if they get 12 and they're 6 foot tall, you might have to swing, because you don't want them laughing at you. But a lot of people would say, well, that's just criminal. You can't put your hand on kids. Well, I grew up in an age where if you did something wrong, you were disciplined, and that meant you were corrected. And in my house, that meant that you were whipped. It wasn't like I woke up in the morning and thought, well, I'm being abused. It was just the way the culture was. Today's culture, if there's a bruise on a kid, or if you got some kind of problem, then with all these split families and all these folks wanting fights anyway, you got a whole lot of kids out there being abused. You don't need to take good kids away from good parents that are actually trying to discipline their children. And DHS isn't going to do that anyway. They got too many of them in that system. We need to have more kids adopted from bad homes than to worry about trying to take them out of folks that are trying to discipline their children. There's a difference in discipline and beating the children. You always should tell your children how much you love them before and after. My mother used to say to me, "It hurt me worse than it hurts you." I never believed her. See, not only did I think that she was telling me a story, but I thought she wanted me to believe it. So my father, he never said that to me, because he knew which one hurt worse, me or him. There wasn't a question. One time I was riding my bicycle home from a sleepover, and I stopped. I was needing to pee, and I stopped. I saw this girl named Janet Poe, and she was playing basketball in front of her house, had a goal. So I stopped, and I started shooting basketball. And then I didn't know what time it was, but I'm trying to show out. So I guess probably an hour later, I got on my bicycle to leave, and I really needed to go to the bathroom. And by the time I got home, my father had already called the place that I was at. They told him I'd left an hour earlier. He'd been in the car driving the neighborhoods. You didn't want to make my father nervous or scared. So when I pulled in that bicycle, he opened the door, which was always open the door and step back. I knew I was in trouble. But I was needing to pee. And so when I walked in the door, he started kicking me in the butt. And then as I went into the den, he took his belt off and started whipping me. And the more he whipped me, the more I peed. And then the more I peed, the madder he got, so the more he whipped me. So that was a very, very enjoyable time for the wet, pee-soaked jeans or pants. And he was not happy that I was peeing all on the carpet as he was whipping me. But that was one of the more enjoyable whippings I got as a kid, because I did spend an hour shooting hoops with JP. So anyway, discipline in today's kids. You just got to be real. If you've only been married once, and those are all your kids in your household, discipline. I would tell them how much you love them. Tell them why they're getting disciplined. Discipline, whatever you want to do with it, whether you're taking stuff away from them or putting them in timeout as young kids. Or my daddy just never did that. That's strange to me. But I have had friends, and today's society, I've got a lot of folks that are in their 30s and 40s. That's the only discipline they've ever had, is put their kids in timeout or take something away from them, or not let them be on the phone, or not let them drive the car. Mine was over with, and then it was back to normal. There wasn't any long-term effects other than, Phee. But it wasn't like my father was mad at me for 3 days. Shoot, he'd walk in there and we'd start talking, and I was very agreeable at that time. But we'd sit there and visit and talk right after he whipped me. So he didn't whip me out of being mean. He either whipped me because I scared him, which he wouldn't admit, but that's what he was doing. He was whipping me because I'd scared him, and he was worried about me. Or if I was disrespectful, and I wasn't going to be disrespectful to adults. My father had instilled that in me, so I wasn't disrespectful to any older person. I probably was a little disrespectful to folks my own age, especially when it came to anything with a ball, because I'd just tell them what I was going to do to them and then do it, and they didn't like that. But anyway, I would tell you environment's the key. If you're going to discipline children, you got to know the environment. Have they been beaten before? Or are they products of the state? Have they had trauma? Are you talking about whipping somebody else's kids in a stepfather, stepmother situation, stepbrother, stepsister situation, raised by their grandparents? You don't know how many folks out here, that are being raised by their grandparents. Their parents are in jail. And those 60-year-old men and women and 70-year-old men and women are raising those teenage boys and girls because their kids are in jail and their parents are in jail. So that's a real situation, and so you certainly would discipline them different than you would. So all those things, you have to look at it from a macro standpoint, and then I would try to specifically get a game plan for you and your situation, because if you're talking about how you don't discipline all children the same way, just like you don't coach all children the same way. As being a good coach, you've got to be able to teach, and you don't teach people the same way. Some people they're very good visually. Some people are much better mechanically. And it's no different if somebody's a good shooter or a good dribbler, but they're a bad dribbler or a bad shooter. You've got to be able to teach to where it's advantageous to the student. And then you got to be able to communicate. And if you're disciplining folks, you're going to have to communicate with them before, during, and after. And as far as the motivation is concerned, you're motivating them not to do that behavior again. That's the reason that you're whipping them. So you try to teach them, you try to communicate with them, you try to motivate them, and then you want to instill confidence in them. I know that you did wrong, or you know better than lying to me, or you'll be much better off if you'll tell me the truth. And I was a kid once too. I've made mistakes once too. But if you lie to me, you put me in a situation where now you either think that you can continue to lie to me, or I discipline you. And that's the way those things go as far as being a discipline. But if you can teach them, and you can communicate with them, and you can motivate them, and you can instill confidence in them, then you won't have to discipline them a lot if you'll do that early. I mean, if you discipline should be done, from that 2 and 3 year olds to 6 and 7 and 8 year olds. If you've done a good job in that area, you won't have to discipline much longer than that. And certainly I wouldn't think you're going to be wanting to try to beat them at 16. At that point, you've failed in that area if they're being disrespectful and lying and cheating, and they're either on drugs or whatever you're doing. You better change those habits. But if you can get them in those development ages to where they understand right from wrong, they understand there's consequences, and then you can love on them and use those 5 keys to being a good parent or being a good coach or being able to discipline, I think you'll find that you'll be okay. Just remember, do it with as loving as a spirit as you can. You don't ever want to whip a child out of anger. If you're angry with him, then you're borderline. You're not trying to teach him anything. You're trying to either bully him or try to beat him into submission. So you don't. That's not the goal to disciplining. There's a difference in disciplining and beating. So communication and a loving environment, I think you'll find will work for you. and whatever that means within your boundaries and your situation. But thank you, Kendra from Texas. I do appreciate you asking that question tonight. A dose of reality, folks, is coming from the Gulf of Mexico to the Great Lakes, and from the West Coast to the East Coast. This world is in chaos, and at any moment you're going to have a dose of reality that if you're not paying attention, you're going to make decisions based on bad information. You're going to do it in a chaotic situation, making quick decisions, have to do it now, going to happen tomorrow, just like this 23rd of September. That's not a good strategy for a long-term making money off of something, trying to sell things, because, what is it? They started about 2 months ago. So after that, what are they going to do on September 24th? I guess they'll come up with another calculation, but the rapture's not coming for at least 7 years from today. And tomorrow when you wake up, say, well, it won't be 7 years. For tomorrow will be the earliest. So, because my Lord's got several things. And remember, he says immediately after the tribulation. So that's when you need to. He didn't say, I'm going to come before, get all my saints and elect, go back, and then come back for the second coming, and after the tribulation. That's not what he said. So just read what Jesus said, and when 23rd of September comes, and they say that's the start of the last 7 years, and they start predicting the rapture every single day, or why their calculation was off 30 days or 60 days, just remember that you need to be tuning into the Phee Smee network, and you need to be paying attention to Phee has had a vision. He understands the truth, and he will teach you, and he will coach you through it. So remember, there is no rapture coming on September the 23rd of this year. So if you want to call me blasphemous and I'm going to hell for that, it won't be the first time that's happened either. Just study the Word of God, and I promise you, we'll be here the 24th of September, and that the 23rd of September, I don't know what days those are. Let me just go ahead and tell you right now. Wednesday is today's the 17th. So you're talking about next Tuesday. So we'll be here at night with Phee. We'll celebrate that nobody is gone and I've been left behind. How about that? But I do appreciate you guys tuning in tonight to Night with Phee with a dose of reality, because those days are coming, folks. They nickel and dime and two-line rhyme all they want to, but if they'll tune into the Phee Smee network, we'll keep telling them truth. And remember, guys, no matter what you're doing, you're missing something. So let's make what we're doing worth what we're missing. Night, guys.